Amina Bakery opened her phone one morning and felt her chest tighten. The cousins' WhatsApp group, the one where they shared childhood memories, jokes and family plans, was gone from her list. At first she thought it was a glitch, but when she checked again, she realized the truth. They had removed her. No warning. No message. Nothing. A few hours later, she heard from a mutual friend that her cousins were spreading lies, saying she had forgotten her roots, just because she moved to Marembe City to start a small business. Amina wanted to defend herself. She wanted to ask why people she grew up with were so quick to turn her into the villain. But instead she stayed quiet. She blocked every number, deleted every chat, and poured her energy into her little shop. She worked long nights, saved every coin, and turned her tiny business into something real, something she was proud of. Months passed. Her shop grew popular. People respected her for the woman she had become. And then one afternoon she saw them, her cousins, standing outside her store. Their faces looked different now. Stressed, desperate. They had come to ask for help, pretending nothing happened. "Amina, we need you," one of them whispered. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She simply walked past them, calm and steady, like they were strangers on the street. Because to her they were. They removed her without thinking, so she removed them from her life completely. And for the first time in a long time, Amina felt free. Zahara Tembo stared at her phone in disbelief. One minute she was in the family group chat, the next she saw the message. "You've been removed." No explanation. No conversation. Just gone. All because she had finally said the word her family hated. No. They wanted money again. Not for a real emergency, not for something important, just another urgent situation that only existed when they needed her wallet. Zahara had worked 2 jobs to keep herself afloat, but her family never cared. To them, she was the dependable one, the giver, the one who never complained. But that day when she refused, they turned on her. Within hours, screenshots of her message saying she couldn't help were circulating among relatives. Captioned with words like selfish, ungrateful, acting rich, even though she was barely surviving. Cousins she hadn't spoken to in years were suddenly experts on her life, dragging her name through every family group. Zahara felt a mix of shame, anger, and heartbreak. These were the people she once trusted with everything. So she chose silence, not because she was weak but because she was done. She quietly disappeared from their lives. She changed her number, moved out of the shared apartment, and focused on herself for the first time in years. She enrolled in evening classes, learned new skills, and spent months building a better future. Every night she went to bed exhausted, but for the first time, it was the kind of exhaustion that felt like progress. Slowly, she rebuilt herself. And then, after a long year of grinding, she landed a top job in Lusongo, one of the biggest companies in the city. Her salary tripled, her confidence returned, and she finally felt like she had made it. Life was peaceful without the constant noise of family drama. Until one day, her phone rang. It was an aunt, then another, then a cousin, all ignored. Finally, she got a message from her mother. "We need your signature urgently. The house is in trouble." Zahara read it slowly. So this was why they remembered her. Not to apologize, not to check on her. They needed her again. They always did. When she arrived at the family home, they rushed to her like nothing had ever happened, pretending to be warm, pretending to care, pretending she was still part of them. They pushed papers toward her, begging her to sign so the bank wouldn't take the house. She looked at each face, faces that once spread lies about her, faces that removed her without thinking. Zahara felt no anger now, only clarity. With a soft smile, she pushed the papers back and said, "You removed me first." And just like that, she stood up, walked out of the house, and left them staring, shocked, speechless, and finally understanding the price of losing a good heart. Keone Abebe never expected the family group chat to turn against her over something so simple. She had babysat her cousin's kids for years. Birthdays, weekends, late nights, last-minute emergencies. She always showed up, even when she was tired, even when it messed up her own plans. But one day she finally said, "I can't do it for free anymore. I need to focus on my own life." Within minutes, her aunties were furious. Instead of understanding, they attacked her. They mocked the voice note she sent, calling her dramatic, emotional, and ungrateful. Screenshots of her message flew around the family like gossip fuel. Then suddenly she saw it. "You've been removed from the group." Just like that. Keone sat on her bed, shaking. Not because she lost the group chat, but because she realized she had never been family to them. She was free childcare. Nothing more. So she wiped her tears, packed her bags, and left for Ibanda City with nothing but her clothes and a tiny savings box. She blocked every number, muted every memory, and decided she would build a life where no one used her again. Ibanda City was tough at first. She worked at a small cafe in the morning, cleaned offices at night, and watched YouTube videos on event design during her breaks. She bought second-hand tools, practiced decorations on her small balcony, and slowly started taking small event jobs. Birthdays, engagement parties, office dinners. People loved her work, her creativity, her patience, her eye for detail. What started as small gigs grew into a real business. And within a few years, Keone Events became one of the most booked event planning companies in the entire city. She became the woman nobody believed she could be, the woman they tried to break. Then one day, she received a booking request for a large wedding. She didn't recognize the bride's name at first. But when she arrived at the venue to oversee the setup, her heart froze. It was her cousin's wedding, the same family that removed her, the same aunties who mocked her. She walked in confidently, clipboard in hand, headset on, dressed like a woman who knew exactly who she had become. Her family stared at her like they were seeing a ghost. Some whispered, some looked ashamed, some tried to smile awkwardly. But Keone didn't break. She didn't shrink. She didn't pretend nothing happened. She simply did her job with quiet grace and professionalism. By the time the bride walked in and saw the stunning hall, glittering lights, flawless decor, perfect coordination, everyone knew the truth. The girl they threw away had built an empire without them. And when her aunt tried to greet her, Keone just smiled politely and said, "I'm here for work, nothing more." That night the whole family realized. They didn't break her, they built her. Naledi Masiko never expected betrayal to come from her own brother. She had been saving for years. Tiny amounts from her job, extra coins she hid in envelopes, everything she could gather. Her dream was simple: go to a tech school one day and change her life. But one afternoon when she checked her savings account, her heart dropped. The money was gone. Every last cent. Her brother Kago had taken it. No apology. No shame. Just excuses. When Naledi confronted him in the family group chat, she was shaking with anger and heartbreak. She typed everything clearly. How he stole from her, how he ruined her plans, how she deserved better. Instead of support, her mother replied, "Kago is your brother. Don't embarrass him. It's just money. Just money." It was years of sacrifice. Years of dreams. Within minutes, Naledi saw the notification. "You're no longer in this group." They kicked her out for telling the truth. That night, Naledi packed a bag and disappeared. No long messages, no goodbyes. She cut her family off completely and moved to Aramoko with nothing but determination. She found a tiny room to rent and joined a tech boot camp using borrowed money and scholarships. Life was hard. Some nights she cried herself to sleep. Some days she skipped meals just to afford transport. But every time she opened her laptop, she felt hope waking up again. She studied all night, practiced coding, watched tutorials, and built projects. Slowly she got better, so good that companies started noticing her work. After months of grinding, she landed her first job as a junior software engineer. Then came better offers. Higher pay. More stability. Naledi grew into a confident, successful woman who no longer needed anyone to believe in her. She believed in herself now. Years later, her family's life fell apart. Kago's debts grew out of control, and their mother couldn't keep up with repayments. With nowhere else to turn, they went searching for Naledi. They asked neighbors, old friends, anyone who might know where she was. Finally, they found her in a modern office in Aramoko, laptop open, headphones on, typing like she belonged in that world. Her mother rushed to her first. "Naledi, we need your help. The house, we might lose it." Naledi didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She didn't even turn her head. She just kept typing, calm and steady. Kago tried to. It was a mistake. Your family. Please. Naledi finally paused for a second, eyes still on her screen, and said quietly, family didn't protect me. So now I protect myself. Then she continued typing, as if they weren't even there. And that's when they realized. The girl they threw away had become someone they could no longer reach. Talia Nyambi couldn't believe it. She had always spoken her mind in the family group chat, sharing her thoughts and opinions openly. She never meant to hurt anyone, but apparently being honest was a crime. That morning, she opened her phone to check messages and saw it. You've been removed from the group. No warning. No explanation. Just gone. Her cousins called her too opinionated. Her aunties whispered behind her back that she was difficult, and suddenly everyone acted like she had done something terrible. At first, Talia felt hurt, confused, and angry. These were people she grew up with, people she trusted, but they had decided that her voice wasn't welcome. Instead of arguing, Talia did something most of them didn't expect. She quietly deleted every family number from her phone. She didn't reply, she didn't beg. She simply disappeared from their lives and focused on her own. She packed up her little savings and moved to Karyaka Market, a place bustling with life and opportunity. Talia set up a small fashion stall, selling clothes she designed herself. The first few weeks were hard. She worked long hours, standing under the hot sun, sewing by hand in her tiny corner of the market. People walked by without noticing. Some laughed, saying her designs were too different. But Talia didn't give up. She believed in her art and in herself. Slowly, things began to change. Customers loved her designs. Pictures of her clothes started circulating on social media. Her unique style caught the attention of influencers, then local celebrities, and before she knew it, her small stall was the talk of the town. Orders poured in from all over, and Talia started hiring young tailors to help her. Her brand was growing, and so was her confidence. Then, one afternoon, she noticed familiar faces in the market. Her cousins, her aunties, even some of her uncles. They were smiling, pretending to admire her work, asking questions, trying to connect as if they had always supported her. Some even tried to claim credit, saying they always knew she could do it. Talia smiled quietly, pulled out her phone, and posted one picture of her latest collection with a single caption. Family isn't blood. Family is respect. No fights. No shouting. Just truth. The same people who kicked her out had no words now. They watched silently as the woman they tried to silence rose higher than they ever imagined. Talia had built her empire on talent, perseverance, and self-respect, and she didn't need their approval to shine. Nuru Okoye stared at her phone in disbelief. Another family emergency. Another message asking for money. But this time she finally said no. She had worked hard for every coin in her account, and she knew this fund wasn't real. It was just a way for her cousins to take from her without giving anything back. The backlash was immediate. Screenshots of her refusal spread like wildfire. Cousins called her selfish, greedy, unkind. Her messages were mocked in other group chats. People laughed behind her back, sharing comments and emojis, trying to make her feel small. Nuru felt hurt, humiliated, and angry, but mostly she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: clarity. She realized these were not family who respected her. They were people who wanted to use her. So she made a choice. She blocked every number, deleted every chat, and cut herself off completely. No more explanations, no more apologies. She turned her back on the gossip, the lies, the judgment, and focused on herself. Nuru had always loved cooking. She remembered the nights she spent experimenting in the kitchen, the smell of spices, the joy of seeing someone enjoy her food. She took a deep breath and decided to turn that passion into a business. She started small, catering for friends and local events, waking up before dawn and working long nights. It wasn't easy. There were days she wanted to quit, days when orders didn't come in, and moments when she doubted herself. But every plate she served, every compliment she received, reminded her that she was building something real. Months later, her hard work paid off. Nuru was hired as the head chef for a big corporate event, a gala attended by influential people, journalists, and business leaders. She worked tirelessly that day, orchestrating the kitchen like a conductor, making sure every dish was perfect. Then she looked up. Among the audience sitting quietly in the back were her cousins, her aunties, and even her uncles, the same people who had laughed at her, mocked her, and tried to humiliate her. Their mouths hung open as they watched her command the kitchen with skill, confidence, and elegance. Nuru didn't smile. She didn't wave. She didn't acknowledge them at all. She simply carried on, plating dish after dish, letting her talent and success speak for itself. By the end of the night, everyone knew the truth. The girl they tried to belittle had become the woman they could no longer ignore. And Nuru, standing tall, proud, and unshaken, finally felt the sweetest victory, one earned with sweat, courage, and self-respect. Amara Ojo stared at her phone, stunned. She had missed one family meeting, one meeting that she didn't even know was about her. Later, she found out what happened. Her relatives had planned to use her school fund to pay for her cousin's tuition, without asking her. When she refused to go along, the messages started. Screenshots of her saying, "No, this is my money," were shared everywhere. Gossip spread fast. By the end of the day, she saw it. "You've been removed from the group." First, Amara felt hurt. This was her family, people she had grown up trusting, people she thought would understand. But deep down, she knew something important. They had never really cared about her dreams. They only cared about taking what she had. So she made a decision. She didn't argue, she didn't beg. She just walked away. Amara applied for a scholarship abroad, and every obstacle only made her more determined. She studied hard, learned about law, fought through sleepless nights and endless exams, and slowly built herself into a confident, skilled lawyer. Years of sacrifice and hard work paid off, and finally, she returned to Ukombozi City, not as the quiet girl her family remembered, but as a successful attorney, sharp, respected, and unstoppable. Then one morning she received a call. Her family's small business was in court, a dispute over inheritance and unpaid debts. They needed a lawyer, and Amara knew exactly where she fit into this story. The day of the hearing, she walked into the courtroom. Suited, confident, her documents in hand, she looked nothing like the young girl they had dismissed. Her family froze when they saw her. Shock, guilt, and fear flickered across their faces. This was the girl they had kicked out, the girl they had underestimated. And now, she was the attorney on the other side, representing the case against them. They tried to whisper apologies, tried to plead, tried to charm her. But Amara didn't flinch. She presented every argument clearly, every fact perfectly, showing the court exactly why she was right. Every step she took was calm, measured, and deliberate, a stark reminder of how far she had come without their help. By the end of the hearing, the judge ruled in her client's favor. Amara's family could only sit in silence, faces down, realizing that the girl they had tried to control had grown into a woman they could no longer influence or ignore. Amara left the courtroom quietly, her head high, her heart full. She didn't need their approval, their validation, or their thanks. She had walked away once, and now she had walked back into her power, stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. Sifa Mugisha stared at her phone, her fingers frozen over the screen. She had been removed from the family group chat again. This time it wasn't an accident. Her step-siblings had decided she added nothing to the family. Nothing. No explanation, no warning, just a cold message and a few angry emojis. For a moment, Sifa felt her chest tighten. Confused. Angry. These were the people she grew up with, or at least lived with, but they had decided she didn't matter. She could have argued, begged, or sent long messages trying to explain herself. But instead, she did something far braver. She walked away quietly. Sifa left for Kahawa town with nothing but a small bag and a big determination. She took 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Days were long and exhausting. She worked in a cafe in the mornings, cleaned offices in the afternoons, and tutored kids at night. Some nights, she went home with aching muscles and an empty stomach, but she never gave up. Every coin she earned, she saved. Every opportunity she seized. Slowly, her life began to change. She learned about investing, small businesses, and smart money management. She took risks and educated herself, putting her money to work. Years of hard work and discipline turned into a small fortune. She finally bought her own apartment, a place she could call truly hers, built entirely with her own hands. Then one day her phone rang. Her step-siblings were calling, begging. Their rent was overdue, their lives in chaos. They wanted her help. For a second, she remembered the years of disrespect, the mockery, the cold way they had removed her as if she was nothing. A quiet smile crossed her face. She opened her voice recorder and pressed record. Her message was short, calm, and powerful. "I don't belong to you anymore." She sent it and put the phone down. She didn't argue, she didn't yell. She didn't need to. That one voice note said everything. She had built her life without them. She had risen above their cruelty. And now, finally, she was free. Her step-siblings could do nothing but stare at the message, realizing that the girl they dismissed had become the woman they could no longer reach. And Sifa. She stepped out onto her balcony, looked at the city lights, and for the first time in her life, smiled knowing she had nothing left to prove to anyone. Lewa Abiola stared at her phone in disbelief. Another family group message popped up, this time asking her to plan her sister's extravagant birthday party, and not just plan it, pay for it herself. She typed a careful reply. "I'm sorry, I can't cover the costs. I have my own expenses." Within minutes, screenshots of her message were circulating among relatives. Whispers, comments, and ridicule followed. They called her selfish, uncaring, and ungrateful. Then, just like that, she saw the notification. "You've been removed from the group." Lewa felt a mix of hurt and relief. Hurt because her family had turned against her for standing up for herself. Relief because she finally realized she didn't need anyone who treated her like an ATM. She blocked every number, deleted every chat, and made a choice. She would focus on her own dreams. With her savings, she moved to a rural arts center far from the city. The place was quiet, the air fresh, and for the first time she felt free. Lewa poured herself into painting. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. She painted landscapes, portraits, abstract pieces, each brushstroke a piece of her soul. Slowly, people noticed her work online. Her paintings were shared, praised, and soon they went viral. Her small rural studio became a beacon for art lovers. Invitations came for exhibitions, interviews, and collaborations. Lewa's talent and hard work made her a national name. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. Then came the day of her first big exhibition in the city. The gallery was buzzing with excitement, collectors and critics admiring every piece. Suddenly, she noticed familiar faces in the crowd, her family. They had shown up uninvited, trying to act casual, trying to claim some connection to her success. Lewa didn't rush to greet them. She didn't explain. She looked at them calmly, her confidence shining brighter than any painting on the wall. She simply said, loud enough for them to hear, "You removed me before I removed you." The words hung in the air. Her family's smiles faltered. Their whispers stopped. For the first time, they saw the woman they had tried to dismiss, the woman who had built her world without them. Lewa walked through the exhibition with grace, interacting with collectors and fans, while her family could only watch. They realized too late that the girl they tried to hold down had grown into someone untouchable, unstoppable, and unapologetically herself. And Lewa, she didn't look back. She had already painted her future, and it was brighter than anything they could ever imagine. Marembi Diallo stared at her phone in disbelief. The family group chat, the place where jokes, updates, and birthday plans once flowed freely, had removed her. She had called out her relatives for using her as the family ATM, for asking for money every month, for every little emergency that never seemed real. She had finally said what needed to be said, but the reaction shocked her. Instead of understanding, they accused her of forgetting where she came from, and made her the villain. Her heart ached, but Marembi felt clarity for the first time. These weren't people who cared about her. They cared about what she could give them. She didn't argue, didn't plead, didn't cry. She simply cut every tie, deleted numbers, muted chats, and walked away quietly, like she should have done years ago. With her small savings, she moved to Nyanza City, a bustling place full of opportunities. She rented a tiny apartment and started from scratch. First, life was hard. She worked long hours at a local construction office by day and studied real estate and property management at night. Some nights she went to bed hungry, her mind racing with doubts, but she refused to give up. Every coin she earned, every deal she learned, was a step toward independence. Years of determination, learning, and hustle paid off. Mirembe started her own real estate agency. She focused on building something real, something lasting, and slowly, clients began to trust her. Her reputation grew. She became known for her honesty, her sharp eye for investments, and her unshakable work ethic. Then one day, she received a call from home. Her mother, desperate, told her the house was at risk of being taken over by the bank. The family needed her help. For a second, Mirembe's heart pounded, not out of guilt, but because she remembered all the times they had used her, humiliated her, and dismissed her. When she arrived at the family home, her mother rushed forward, pleading. Her relatives stood around, sheepish and ashamed. Mirembe looked at them quietly. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't lecture. She simply leaned in, whispering with calm authority. "You taught me how to walk away." Her words carried the weight of years of hurt, struggle, and triumph. The family realized in that moment that the girl they thought they could control had become a woman they could neither manipulate nor ignore. Mirembe didn't need their respect or approval anymore. She had built her world without them, and it was strong, independent, and untouchable. For the first time in years, she smiled, knowing she had truly learned the power of walking away.